Welcome. We'd like to welcome you back today from the Abel Colley Tavern and Museum, featured by the Fayette County Historical Society. Today we're going to talk about the Green Tree Tavern and about some of the foods and some of the devices that they use to make the foods. So let's get started.
Any American schoolchild knows the little legend about Johnny Appleseed, and supposedly there really was someone not necessarily known as Johnny Appleseed who did go around for some reason planting apples, but there are various types of apples that are indigenous to southwestern Pennsylvania, one of which would be the Macintosh apple. We're showing you an apple peeler there, which is an earlier type. You would turn the wheel, and there would be a little blade that would begin to remove the skin somewhat from the apple. We also have candles here, and right below the candles we have a candle mold. And they would have melted probably beeswax. They would have used thicker string or their wicks, and then they would then pour the molten wax into that mold, allow it to dry, and that would be their source of illumination. Right by the candle mold we have a stone grinder where they probably would have ground corn into cornmeal to make Johnny cakes or cornbread or other types of foods that would be eaten with their meal. On the lower shelf we have a cabbage slicer, and they would have made sauerkraut, or they would have used it for making their stews or their soups, and the little box inside is slid over the blades, and it would be slicing the cabbage as it goes along. On the lower shelf over here we have two types of things that would be used with coffee. The one that is being shown is a coffee roaster, where coffee beans would be placed inside the tool, and the handle would be turned, and it would be set in front of the fire. The handle would be turned until the beans were roasted. And also down here on the shelf we have a coffee grinder, where the coffee would be placed here. Again, a handle would be turned. You can hear that grinding, and after the beans were ground, the drawer would be opened, and you would have your coffee, which would be brewed by the fireplace. We also have a griddle here on the shelf, because in most of these inns, the innkeeper or the innkeeper's wife would be serving larger amounts of food, so you would need a large thing for making Johnny cakes or pancakes or sausage, what have you. And of course, one of their best friends at the time period that we are discussing, is salt. Salt would be used to flavor food and for preservation.
And then as we walk across our room, we have a display also. It's showing the excavation of the Green Tree Tavern site. This is being done by California University. And we have some objects that have been taken from that site. Some copper discs, buttons, cast brass button, as you can see there, along with a few other numerous objects. The iron door shutter pins, a kitchen knife, a pair of iron scissors. And you can see how rusted they have gotten over the years. We are going to continue with some of our food items in our next segment.